Alright everybody, today we're going to be breaking down Peterbot and Pollo's Game 1 win in the most recent Eval Cup Finals. Now, I want to break down this game for a couple reasons. First, to learn this new meta with masks being so prevalent. Two, because this is one of the best games I've ever seen out of Peterbot, period. It is a masterclass in duos. And third, to really understand the new Surge and how to play. So, while they're looting this early game, I'm going to give you a little yap about this new Surge. This new Surge only affects Eval Cups. So if you're playing Div Cups, right now this new Surge is not in those. What this new Surge is instead of Surge being your total damage, it is now your net damage. So the amount of damage you've done minus the amount of damage you've taken. What this means is that you have to be a lot smarter in your mid game. Because if you are taking a lot of damage in your 3rd, 4th, 5th zone rotates, you are going to quickly find yourself struggling with this new Surge. Being consistent in this Surge is a lot more about being smart with those rotates. And I think you're going to see a very interesting difference in how Peterbot approaches this eval compared to a eval a few weeks ago, or any of the Div Cup finals that have happened so far. So that's the first thing I find really interesting about this sort of tournament. On top of that, I think it's very interesting how he approaches fights, because you no longer have that real incentive to get kills, more so ensuring that you are up large amounts of damage. You're going to see Peterbot approaching fights in this mid game very, very differently than you've really ever seen him approach fights before. Also, really quick fact as we wrap up this early game looting, this item down here, everyone calls it ramen. That is actually incorrect. Because it is Korean, it's ramyeon, which is not ramen. But everyone calls it ramen because they see the little cup noodles and they think it's ramen. Technically, ramyeon is a type of Korean ramen, but it is also different. So that's a little fun fact you guys can share with the ladies. But let's get back on track. So now that they're done looting and have quite possibly the best loot you've ever seen in your entire existence, at least on Peterbot. Pollo, good but not great. They're going to do what Peterbot normally does, which is play aggressive in the early game to try and create a damage difference. So we place a pad. We decide not to use it because zone pops, it's not too far. This is where we start to find our first engagement with Craze. We get a good beam onto Craze. Close the distance. Notice how much slower Peterbot is approaching this fight. Normally you'd see Peterbot just playing hyper aggressive, but he's not doing this. This play we're about to see, I think, is super, super clever though. So they throw the TP. The TP acts as a distraction. Curve's eyes are going to turn around because he's worried that the TP is going to land behind him and he's going to try and pump them. So when they throw the TP, they then immediately go for a double spray to try and get a bit of damage through onto Curve. Then after that fails, Peterbot ends up TPing behind. Now they have this nice little pinch setup to try and isolate Curve. Again, they are mainly taking this fight so far, even though they're up substantial amounts of damage, strictly based off their ARs. They are not playing on walls as much as Peterbot normally would. Peterbot then tries to close the distance. Again, we're mainly more focused on trying to bait out damage on these players, trying to bait out damage on Craze there, more so than actually ending this fight. When Curve and Craze end up getting back together and they realize they're not going to be able to get anything out of this, they immediately disengage. This is something you very rarely see Peterbot do, even in an Eval Cup Finals. And I think it speaks to how important being above Surge is in this meta. You have to make sure that you are not taking unnecessary damage if you want to be above Surge. So, we end up rotating away, and this is where you're also going to see a very different philosophy when it comes to how Peterbot and Raz, and I guess Pollo as well, are approaching these mid-games. They are very aggressive in burning TP uses mid-game to minimize the amount of damage they take, and it makes sense. If they were to have made that rotate all the way from like down here, all the way up to where they are now on foot, they have like a pretty good chance of taking like 200, maybe 300 damage. But if they're TPing, that goes down drastically to like 100 damage, maybe even less. Minimizing that amount of damage taken is super, super important. You're only going to use so many mass charges when it comes to endgame and those moving zones. So getting the maximum amount of value you can in that first couple of zones to ensure you actually make the end game is super, super strong. Now, I'm going to 4X for a while because they end up playing this position for a long time. Also, if you're wondering why they play this position, because this zone is pulling so far north, they are kind of banking on another north pull up again. And if they did, they'd be in a god spot. Zone ends up bouncing to the east. And so while this position isn't as strong, it's still a very strong position overall. But they were banking on a north pull here, assuming that zones would keep pulling to the north because of the first zone pulling so hard to the north. Pollo leaves a TP in the box, goes down to refarm. Again, they are going to keep playing this position. They have very little interest in going and getting into an engagement where they're going to be exchanging pump shots, all of this nonsense, because that doesn't really benefit them right now. What they want to do is ensure they make every single moving zones because that's where they shine. So literally, we have Peterbot holding out his pickaxe because there's no point in him forcing damage. He's just going to take the damage that comes to him. Now, the only thing that's going to get Peterbot and his sorry little butt moving is going to be the Rift Pod. Now that we no longer have the queens all around the map, I'm sure we still have a few queens watching this video though, am I right? We are going to witness a lot more teams play a lot more aggressively for these Rift Pods. These Rift Pods are the only sources of slurps now, and slurps are the most valuable heal in the game. So the second that Rift Pod spawns, this is the only thing that is going to get Peterbot out of that base. Forces their way onto the Rift Pod. Get their slurps. Pollo is able to get an upgrade onto his Fury. And then, once they kind of settle down, they're going to return back to their base once they decide what heals they're going to hold. Pretty long discussion. And now they're going to return back to their base. This gives them the opportunity to refarm as well as just stay safe. Again, though, rather than just playing down there and just like sitting idly in that position, they want to be up in a spot where they can get free tags to keep increasing the difference between them and like the rest of the lobby. They want to make sure their net damage ratio is high. From here on out, it is quite literally just same old, same old. They keep staying up, they keep staying up. They hit a couple emotes. You know Peterbot. You know how chill he is. When this zone closes, that's when they finally get active. And notice, even though they've been pretty disciplined this game, they're still only 260 above this threshold. And every zone after this, that threshold is going to go down, down, down. And if they have a zone where, let's say, they take 150 damage and don't deal any damage themselves, that is when Surge is going to really get tricky. So being in a power position like they are now, where they can get free damage, is super, super important to making sure you stay above. From here, they're going to be able to get a lot of free damage onto this fight between Skittles and Epic Whale. Sorry, Skittles and Reet and Muzz, not Epic Whale. Get the kills. And now, this is part of the reason why they can get away with being so aggressive with their mask use in that mid-game, because they are Peterbot and Pollo. They are bound to get a mask refresh at some point in the game. They get that refresh. They are now absolutely dripped on everything. They wait until their mask is close to the ground before they pull. They're going to notice this a lot with Pete. He is very, very rare to pop TP before he's close to the ground. He very much likes to TP low to ensure that if he dies, he's dying fighting. He's not just dying because he's falling out of the air and gets 200-0. Now, this next fight by Peterbot is honestly, it's why Pete is Pete. I don't know how else to put it. It is, he's just the best. So Jojo, Fishy, and Seek come in late. Because they come in late, Peterbot and Pollo are able to put down a lot of pressure onto them. They realize this team is shambles. Almost get Ferrari peeked into the grave, but we don't. Now this is where Peterbot truly shines. So he pushed back this team. And this is a move I'm going to start calling slide boosting, because I have no idea how else to describe what Peterbot's about to do. Runs, tack sprint, slides to boost himself. and wipes them. Let me just play that back one more time for you guys without pausing so you can really see it at full speed. It is just, it's so quick. It's so hard to, like, process if you're Seek to, like, respond in time. Crouches, attack sprints, slide, bam. Instant. And now they have once again found a god tier refresh. Able to capitalize because they know that team next to them is shambles. And then Peterbot just does Peterbot things. Slides into that peak. If worse comes to worse, he's able to pump, replace that wall if that guy resets it. And no real downside to that play. And it ends up getting them that refresh they need. Now they're able to secure the loot. For all of you that don't know, I am a real big fan of Stinger in this meta, and you're going to really see it in this endgame. Peterbot has the Stinger, Pollo has the Furiar. I personally think this is a better loadout than having double pump even in opens, because I think the ability to really pressure and get in boxes with these two guns is so strong. You're really going to see it in this endgame. Try and punch the demons rotating near them. Don't really get anything out of it. Zone pulls max. They have a couple extra Ramyons, so they just pop it. Notice how, again, he's super patient waiting to make sure that his TP is on the ground. He never is TP'd out, like, in the air because he doesn't want to just give teams that, like, 50, 60, 100 damage. He's super focused on making sure his TP touches the ground before he actually presses his right click. From here, it's just going to be heal up, and then wait and go. Now, they're actually going to be one of the first teams to TP here, and TP deep. So they actually TP all the way into zone. And again, it's the same concept. Because they're on the ground, the chances that they get punished for this rotate is substantially low because they can instantly build and box themselves. And now they have this 2x2 position in front of zone that they can really abuse to try and net more kills. Because they have the Med Mist and they have the Ramyon, they can do this because they have so many whites. This is part of the benefits of this loadout. You can get just so many beams onto players that land near you. I think, personally, the double pump is not nearly as good in this meta because so much of this meta is going to be kids TPing and then landing near you. So having the best possible pressure guns, I think, is far more important in this meta, i.e. high rarity Furies, high rarity Stingers, so you can punish them when they land near you. Whereas double pump doesn't really give you that flexibility. So once again, we're going to see another opportunity for them to do the same thing. The weak wall here, Void is immediately killed. And now they've found themselves once again another refresh. They've spent more time this game with cap mats than without cap mats. This is another little trick. He looks through this wall on the left here, sees where height is. He sees where height is, and then edits out his right, so he has a right peak, and then can throw his TP underneath height. This is a spot where he cannot guarantee his TP hits the ground safely, so he wants to make sure his TP is underneath height so he does not get beamed by height as he falls. So it throws his TP underneath height, falls, and is now able to super safely get to this low ground area, makes a tarp forward, and then goes backward to look for Pollo. That is just super strong fundamentals to ensure you have space and then working back to make sure your teammate is safe. Lucky 7s as the surge above aren't able to execute on that play, but again, the amount of pressure you're able to put down with this Stinger and with this Fury is super high. Next rotate is going to be super interesting as well. So, when this zone pops, he has two real options as to how he can approach it. He can try and go back through his tarp and then play through this left side. But this left side is going to be the congested side. There's going to be a bunch more action, more teams on this side. So he's going to do what he's been doing all game. Playing smart and playing conservative. And he's going to edit his cone and throw his TPs up towards this right side, towards all of this open space over here in this area. This is something you can only do if you are deep into zone so that you have the space to do it. Notice how Peterbot and Pollo are the deepest team from the previous zone, And so because of that, they have a clean angle in order to TP over towards this right side. Now we're going to swap back over towards this gameplay POV. And again, because they have so many whites, them tanking a little is not the end of the world. And now they're able to find themselves on the super, super clean side of zone. You always want to be to a side of zone to your best ability, especially when you have a lot of mats. And again, this is the power of these spray guns. Get 100 damage up on Agers. Recognize that he is a solo, so they're going to try and aggress this solo from this right side wall. Run up. Make sure to full tarp to it. Agers drops down. Keeps chasing. Agers ends up dying. And instantly recognizes that's not a smart buy to go for. Drops down and then continues to tarp. Just super smart gameplay by him. This is one of the best plays I've ever seen. I recommend you go, literally, I recommend after you're done with this YouTube video, you go into Peterbot's VOD and watch this back because it slightly lags here. So, what we do, we see this team coming back, we edit this cone, realize we do not have the floor there, edit this cone, edit the floor, wait until Pollo jumps, and then pumps this guy. I'm going to play it back one more time at full speed. Ignore the fact that it lags out, but you get the idea as to how they generated this kill. This is one of the best kills I have legitimately ever seen. It's so smooth, so clean. I feel bad for this club guy. Like, nothing he could have done there. Right now as they're coming. Just the patience to wait for Pollo to get off. Just the wall to smack this guy. Such a good refresh. Once again, we find ourselves with really good mats. We're still to a side. The second we get that refresh, we instantly layer up. Because right now this layer is super congested and we're no longer front side. So we're going to layer up to find a more clear path. Finally, we find ourselves a little daybreak. So, from here, they're just going to play as a duo. Instantly look to the left, then they're going to tarp. So something you'll notice a lot is that Peterbot and Pollo are really focused on tarping out these moving zones. So because they don't have Fizz, they can't really do Fizz runs. But I don't even think Fizz runs are particularly strong because you're going to have instances like this. You're going to have people TPing, you're going to have people fizzing around. Having like an actual tarp that you can like play from, a structure that you have like edit and control over is really important for situations like this. If he was just Fizz running, all of a sudden, there's a guy in his box, and he has no real control over the situation. Praise pops into his box. Next thing you know, gets cut off. Instant recognition to realize that zone's expanding and that he has this clear pathway over towards his right here. So he stops. He does not tunnel vision. He does not try and force his way through straight, chasing Praise. He breaks to the right, and then keeps breaking more right. And now he has this super clear path without even fighting the player in front of him. Just super, super clean gameplay. Now, this is where, like, our match starts to get, like, really sketchy, right? We have 6 builds on Peterbot, 30 now, and we have 10 builds on Pollo. This isn't the best. We try and go for a drop down, and Pump is just a monkey running around through the zoo. Somehow manages to escape that. And again, the same concept. They see Vert get that kill, and they're not going to greed. They're not going to tunnel on that. Their focus shifts to being in zone. Once again, keep staying to that right side. Consistently, you see this out of Peterbot. He is always to a side of zone into endgame. They try, now that they're front, try and look back for Vert. This is a better way of approaching that fight. So a lot of teams would have staggered backside and really tunnel visioned on Vert. But instead, Peterbot and Pollo get front and then look back for him. This is where mats really start to get sketchy. But this is just where good awareness matters. They look, they save. See Craze get cracked, jump in, get the kill onto Craze. Value of these slurps. And then again, after they get their kill, after they get a little bit staggered, they layer up to be in a better position rather than be on their congested layer. This is really where their guns really start to show. And like really start to shine. So solo in front of them, all they have to do because of these guns. SMG in, no time to react. Cyclops is not a bad player, by the way. Literally, it's no time. Team below them. instantly just able to wipe them. Now we're going to get the mat refresh off it. It's not too much, basically to siphon. You know that it's going to be siphoned because those players aren't building. From here, though, because they get that refresh, again, their eyes go up. They now start to look up, focus at height. They can see that height is fighting, and then this is where they're going to really start to focus on that win condition. They go up, they get the kill onto Oliver, they get the kill onto Carillion. Vert tries to TP up, dies in zone, and now they're in a 2v1 situation. And have we ever seen Peterbot lose a 2v1 situation? Come on, guys. From here, it's just them playing heal off. He has an extra med miss not only there, that he's going to be able to juggle back, but he has an extra med miss as well on Oliver OG. Why was that such a tongue twister? I guess it's been such a long video. Oliver OG's body and Carillion's body. From this, he's just going to be able to play out his whites. So, this has been my VOD review of Peterbot and Pollo. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I really hope you guys subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know how you guys feel about this new surge, if you guys played eval, if you guys watched eval. I'm personally on the fence. I think there's some tweaks they need to do to it before we can really evaluate whether or not it's good. But I do like the idea that Epic Games is experimenting to try and make the game better. I hope you guys learned a bit about just this meta in general from this video. And I recently I had to reinstall everything on my PC. So if anything was wrong, like any of my settings, any I think audio wise was messed up, let me know. I'm going to try my best to watch back this video and fix anything I can, but I might miss something. So just please let me know if there's anything. And much love to all of you guys that made it to the end of this video. Appreciate you all.